What we're going to do is I'm going to explain the difference between wood turning and wood slicing. It's very, very simple. All right. And I teach on 2x4s because the 2x4s will shatter if a student makes a mistake. And it's so soft and ugly to work with that if you don't make a slicing cut, it's going to look like garbage. So anyway, Sue just mentioned something very, very important, right under and that was the fact you can't have the tool go underneath the center of rotation. If it does, then it wants to suck the tool under. Just one other side note, since she was talking about that, and that was for beginning wood turners, it's not smart to have a high-speed steel rod on your tool rest because it will not break. If a student gets a catch, the old cast iron tool rest will break and take the tool down. This won't break, it'll catch and it'll come up and hit you in the face. But anyway, so we don't go under. The next important rule is this: if the wood is rotating this way, the wood is coming into the tool. If wood comes into a wood turning tool, it will never, ever be sliced. It will always be scraped and require sanding. When you turn, here, I'll demonstrate that. There are 90 degrees to the spindle, right? A, we anchor the tool. B, we rub the bevel. Then C, we bring the handle of the tool up. You can see this, feel my body, right? And I make a body triangle. I put my arm on my side here. I hold the tool off the end of the tool. We never hold the tool like this because it puts sideways motion on your hand and it gives you carpal tunnel. We always have a hand off the end of the tool because it's maximum level. So I make a body triangle. So we're not turning wood with our hands. We're turning it with the 4 motions of our head. A, into the tool. B, rub the bevel. You cannot make the cut line when you move like that. Take tiny bite. You go back and forth with the body. Now, if we turn this off, we will see how that wood is torn up. See how that's torn up? Because the wood came into the wood turning tool. It's always going to be shattered. Now, if we turn around and we turn the tool this way, see this? How the blade now is lined up. It's not coming into the blade. It's in line with the rotation of the blade. That's when we transition. I'll make this round. So that's when we transition. In the wood cycle. Okay, so you've got it round. Now watch. I'm going to take the blade, right, and I'm going to put it in line with the rotation. And when we do, we enter the tool. See, we read the Bible. And now all I do is push the blade on the Bible down the wood. Can anybody see that?
Yes, we can.
Okay, now there's no sanding required, even on a 2x4. So all your wood turning tools, if you want to slice wood, right, then whatever tool you have, the blade that you have must always be in line with the rotation. It's that simple. And the worst thing that you can do is use your left hand and push. You always have your tool, your finger, and your arm in line. If you stand back, you'll see what I'm talking about. You push. I've had a stroke, so I don't know. I'll hand it down.
You can go in closer, Casey.
Anyway, so you can do that. You just have all your left hand will ever do is hold the tool down. That's its only function. Either that or use it as a fulcrum. Now, all wood turning tools are steered by the left or right motion of the hip. So if I'm pushing down, when I move my hip to the left, I get a B. If I move my hip to the right, I get a toe. And with the blade in line with the rotation, it's clean. Any questions on that?
Anybody have any questions? Now's the time to ask.
That's a great explanation. Thank you.
Okay, now,
Thanks, Mark.
all right, now we're going to go to the spindle gouge. All right, I use on all my architectural work and everything, the only thing I use is a 3/8 spindle gouge. It's the only tool that you have in your box that will allow you to make every cut in wood turning. There's only 5 shapes in all of wood turning: a bead, a cove, a flat, a disc, and a point. Everything is made out of those 5 shapes. That's the only ones you have to learn. And you can make all 5 shapes with your spindle gouge. And you can do them not quite so fine with a bowl gouge or even with a roughing gouge. So let's move on. And here's the explanation. If this is north, I'm 90 degrees to the spindle. Then when you enter the wood with the tool, if the flute faces the west, the tool must always enter the wood west of north. No exceptions. If the flute faces to the east, the tool must always go east of north. So I call this Bangor, Maine, or it's going to go to Seattle, Washington. If you cross it, if you have your flute to the east and you put the tool in like this, and the tool is to the west of the north. It's called a
Skate axe.
catch. There, you just cannot enter the wood violating that's what I call the east-west rule. You see people doing this. They put their thumb on the tool because they're trying to keep it from kicking back. Well, the tool won't kick back. The bowl gouge won't catch. The spindle gouge won't catch. Roughing gouge won't catch. If you follow the east-west rule, that's upon entry. Okay, so if I look at this flute, it's straight up and down. That's what I call 12 o'clock. Now this tool cuts either at 11 or at 1. But we always have to enter the wood at 12 o'clock. Let me move this tool rest down just a tad. Okay. So here's the routine. Right? I first say east-west. So now I'm going towards Benjamin. Now I stick the wood at 12 o'clock. Once I stick the wood, then I can do what? I switch back to 11. Now I just push in. I go over here, I move my body. I now go to Seattle, Washington. I take a 16th of a cut. I stick it at 12, switch it to 1, and arc toward the center. 12, 1, arc to the center. This tool does not operate in a straight line. 12, 1, arc to the center. 12, 11, arc to the center. Now, if you'll see, that is no sanding required. It is absolutely pristine. But gee, Mark, what about this crap in the middle? I call that the whizzer. How are you going to get rid of that? Here it is. It's so simple, it's pitiful. Right? 12, 1. Then I go to the center, and my tool is facing right toward the center of rotation. I just twist back to 12. I come in from the other side, I'm at 11 here. When my tool faces the center, I twist back to 12. And it's absolutely pristine clean because you can't even get sandpaper in there. See that? So we're going to make these tools work for us. If we know the physics of what's going on and how the tool operates against the wood, then these tools are just gems to have. But when people don't know how to use them, they don't know the physics of turning wood, right? They never learn the physics. They're always frustrated. They're always making stuff with rounded edges, right? They just don't want to do wood turning anymore because they get tear outs, right? They don't know how to resolve it because nobody ever teaches at any one of these damn stores, right? They want to take your money and, oh, let's make a bowl. But guess what? They never teach you how to make the 5 shapes. They never teach you how to use the 3 basic tools, right? And the instructor usually finishes up the stuff and makes the play pretty so they get their course value. Well, I don't do that, right? What I do is I don't teach all that stuff. What I do is I take all my students, and the first thing they learn is how to slice all 5 shapes so that they can make any damn thing they want without the frustration. Okay, so that's how,
Okay.
so we're gonna go 12.
I teach them the 5 cuts so they can make any damn thing they want.
What?
Hey, you
You were-
guys, we can hear you.
Okay,
You're
so
supposed to
we're
be muted,
entering at
everybody.
12. We're entering at 12. We cut at 11 or 1, and we finish back at 12. But we can't go past 12 because then the top blade would hit the other side and be a devastating catch. Okay. So that's a basic V cut. We use the basic V cut to get rid of excess wood so that we can make a fine final cut. Or we use it to make a straight line shape on some spindle or bowl or whatever. Okay, so now once we have a place, watch what I'm going to do right now. We're going to do a cove now. Let me crank this thing. Oh God, I got a curve on my tool. I can make a cove. Now look at the 2x4, all shattered. Why? Because we violated the basic physics rule. Wood cannot come into a wood turning tool. It can only slide. The tool has to be in this position to make that cove in order for it to be in line with the edge of the blade. So it takes 4 motions simultaneously to make a cove, because all coves, the tool must always end above the wood. In a bead or a V-cut, the tool has to end at the center of rotation. On a cove, the point of the blade always has to be above the wood when you finish. So I'm going to push the tool forward through my fingers like a pool cue, because it has to go forward when it's cutting. Right? I'm going to lean, and I have my tool on my sweet spot. I have to lean my body to the right in order to make the tool go to the left into the cove. I have to drop my hip to make the tool go up and end up above the wood. And as I'm going in there, I'm going to twist the tool so that I start on the point. And as I twist the tool and get to the bottom of the cove, the slice is going to be all the way down the parabolic curve of the blade. So here we go. Let me drop my tool rest down. Lock the heel of my hand. That's my pivot point. Let the tool go through because it only cuts when it's going forward. Okay, here we go. East-west rule. Switch it at 12. Twist to 1. Now, first, lean, drop, and twist. And the feet of tool point is above the cove. Now, let's look at both sides. This was all shattered, and that's, can you come over and get the, there you go. That's as clean as a pin. No sanding required. Okay, now I've got to do this on the other side. I have to now lean back this way, because when I lean back this way, it pushes the point the other way. Here we go. Take a 16. 12, 11. Okay? Right. And 12. And if you see that little line, if I didn't quite join it, I have to go to the high side. And you can see how shiny it is. That's a sliced cove.
Well done. Hey, Mark, what speed you turning at?
Should be about 2000. That's 2096. This is just an inch and a half piece of wood. It doesn't make any difference if you want to turn slower. Okay, let's turn it. That's at 600. Okay, now watch this. See, that's just as clean.
Yep. And it's pine.
It's spruce actually. But I usually turn at about 1900 to 2000. Okay, so now we're going to go to beads. Right? Check this out. Is this a bead? It's not a bead. What's wrong with it? Anybody know? A bead doesn't have a corner. That's why people can't make beads. In 20 years of teaching wood turning, I've only met probably less than 100 wood turners that could make a bead with 30 years experience because they don't understand the physics of making a bead. The physics are very simple. Think of the globe. We have an equator and we have a North Pole and a South Pole. If the bevel always has to be, on every tool that you have, if the bevel always has to be 90 degrees from the wood, then you can't make a bead if that bevel is not 90 degrees to the wood when you start. If I lay my bevel 90 degrees to the wood, and I push forward, then I don't get the corner on the bead. Like right here, I'd have to make a V cut. Now I have a place for my tool to go. Now I have to do what? I have to go over here. I have to lay my bevel 90 degrees. I still didn't get it quite 90 degrees, but you get the idea. And it's all sliced. Oh, Mark, I don't have to do that. Somebody taught me to make a bead like this, to put my tool up here and roll it down to the side. Well, if I do that, then if you look real closely, because this is shattered up here. The top of the bead will be shattered because what happened? I put the blade this way, and wood can't come into a blade, not to have it sliced. it's, see how it's chipped out in there? So
Yes.
then I understand the bead. Now, another thing, if you'll, I'll just have Casey stand back a little bit now. If I'm right-handed, so if this has to be, the bevel has to be 90 degrees of surface, and then I come all the way around, then what happens? My tool has to end up way over here to be 90 degrees to the North Pole. So what I do is I have my students put the tool in the ending position. You leave this foot stable on the ground. You don't move it. Then you lean forward and you lean over, and then you I got to come around. Then I come back to the standing position. If I try to stand in front of the leg and I do that, then guess what? This handle has to come around through my body. So I have to either take 3 steps to get back here, or I lean over and I fall down. So that's it for making beads. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a flat. Let's say we've got little a spindle here. We're making a little ornament finial or something like that. Here's what they want to do to make a flat. You want to put their tool in here. They try to pull it with their left hand. Guess what happens? See those little lines? Can you see those little lines in there? Anytime you see vertical lines like this around your wood turning, that means you use your left hand inappropriately. Your left hand has nothing to do with wood turning, and for the left-handers, your right hand has nothing to do with wood turning. It only holds a tool down or acts as a fulcrum. So now, let's see, for short, if you had a long chair spindle, you'd use what? You'd use a spindle roughing gouge or a skew or whatever. But if we're on a little tiny finger, then we put the heel of our hand on the tool rest, and it acts as a fulcrum for our body. We come halfway down the blade, rub the bevel, and I slowly rotate my hips. There's a little fuzz right there. Now, what could possibly cause that? It's very simple. When wood comes through a planer, if the grain is perfectly level at 90 degrees, you'll get good results both ways. But the way this wood came through the sawmill, the grain may be going downhill or uphill. Well, if the grain is this way, downhill, and I'm going this way, then what? I'm going up the broom fibers, and it's going to raise a little fuzz. If I'm going downhill, it'll be smooth. So if you're making a chair leg or something like that, the first thing you do, you find out which way your grain is oriented. And then you can make the cut in the appropriate direction. So now in this way, since it's going downhill, I'll do what? Now, there's absolutely no fuzz. So we always have to determine when we're doing something, which way the grain actually goes, so that we know which way to make our finished cut. Okay, so all we're doing, we're leaving our hands here and we're just rotating our body. Now we don't do that for long things, again, we use the spindle roughing gouge, or we use a skew. The reason that I use a 3/8 spindle gouge, because if I use a skew, then I have to change tools, because I can't make little fine coves and everything with the skew. Okay, so now we've done our beads, we've done our coves, we've done our flats. And what's left to do? Points and discs. So I'm going to cut this off. See how my tool goes through the center? Watch, if I try to push this, I'll flatten that off. If I try to push this straight, it's a proof that this does not operate in a straight line. It only operates in an arc. If I try to push this straight, boom. You see people trying to make bowls and make little tiny bites. They're always doing this because the tool doesn't operate straight. As the diameter of the wood decreases, right, you have to push with the point of the tool, the cut line, and see how it goes dead the center. It doesn't go in a straight line and cut off. Anyway, let's see. I'm gonna break that off so it doesn't fly. All right, so to make a point, I have to do what? I have to push the tool, right? So the cut goes into the tailstock, or if I go the other way, it goes into the headstock. The reason that people can't make small, fine things is because they try to do this. They try to put the tool across the wood. If you push your tools across the wood, they can't make like walking canes and stuff like that. They get all this vibration because they're putting force across the wood. If you always put the force into the tailstock, then the force is going this way or it's going this way. It doesn't affect the sideways. See this? I'm just going to push the tool down. I always push the cut line with the point. And you use the lower blade to curl the wood away like a farmer's plow. Push the cut line with the point, you're always on the lower blade. See how clean that is?
Spotless.
What I'm saying is, you can start on all your stuff, you can start on like 400 and 800. And a lot of the things that I do in the demonstrations, I do the whole demonstration, get done, and I never use a piece of sandpaper. Now, watch what's going to happen. I have to make this into a point. And this is a soft 2x4. So number one, I'm not putting pressure across the wood. I'm putting pressure down into the tailstock. So we take, and I go down here. I have to bring the center of the tool to the center of the rotation. And when I get it right down here, I stop pushing physically. Now I look at the tool, and I look at the wood, and what I do is I think about it going forward. And if I mentally think about it, my body automatically responds. And it will eventually work its way to the point. But see, that's not good. What's wrong? It's not down to one fiber. So what we do is we do this. We just go to a little, all we do is put a fresh burr on it. That's it. Now, by putting a fresh burr on there, if I go down, now I just think about it going forward. I mentally move my tool. Now I can make a point. And everything is sliced, folks. I wish you could just be here and feel it. Okay, now we've got the last shape. So we are always on the bottom blade. We're never on the top blade. We always push the cut line with the point, just like the farmer's plow. The horse pulls the point in, and the curl of the plow curls up the wood and lays it over. And if you look where the plow just cut, it's sliced clean. Okay, now we're going to make a disc. We're at 90 degrees across the spindle. We're going to twist to 1 o'clock, the 1 o'clock cutting position. Now, if you can come over to this side. Okay, so we're at this position right here. If I go to the 1 o'clock position, then I'm going to lift, I'm going to hold this with my hand and get ready to squeeze this tool to the left. So it holds up on the left. Let me go up here. Okay, I'm going to make the cut. Now, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to squeeze with my fingers. Here, I'm squeezing the tool up against the left side. And this is the edge of the cut. So I'm going to put the point of the tool behind the edge. See if we can get directly this way. See where the point is behind the edge? And I've got it in the 1 o'clock position. So as I raise the handle, I squeeze to the left and just raise the handle. And even on a 2x4, it'll make a sharp, sharp disc. See that? Can you see that little disc, how sharp it is? It's not a broken fiber on it. So when we're going to make a little finial or something, let's just do this. Okay, I just made a little bead. Now I've got a little edge. So I can start making some discs. I come behind that edge, touch it with the bottom blade, which is in position of 90 degrees to the spindle and back at the 1 o'clock position. So now I just lift up my handle from behind, lift the handle, squeeze left. Lift the handle, squeeze left. Lift the handle, squeeze left. I'm doing pretty good after having this stroke, Casey. But
I'd say so.
that's what we have. Now we have beads, coves, flats, discs, and points. The only 5 shapes known to wood printing. Now we can combine shapes You can take a bead. And, let me make like a close here. Right now I can take a bead. And I can make a call. And make an OG type shape. You know? But anyway, that bead's called flat distant points. You want to see me? I'll do you one thing. Let's just take this. I'll just show you. We want to make a little finial. There's a flat. Flat, flat. It's not perfect. But the eye came back to 12 o'clock between figures. And come back to 12. Look how clean that is. Now I've got to make a V cut here. I got to give room for my tool to go. So I make a V cut. Then we'll join here again, parallel and 90 degrees to the equator. There's a little square corner right there. We'll just do this. Let's do that in the we got a toe and a bead. And we got a nose. And turn it over to 12. And then we cut it off. So now when you go to cut off something small, you make a downhill cut. That's what I'm talking about. You make it downhill so that you don't put the tool in and it becomes a lead, because the wood has to go somewhere. See that? Now I'm going to go into there. Make a little downhill cut. Then I'll have to reach over here and hold it. And we make it, you can see where it's shiny. Not perfect, but I'm doing pretty good. So I don't have too much really good control over my hands since the stroke. But that's what wood slicing is about. And if anybody has any questions, they can, I have a series on YouTube. And if you'd like to see me do all the different bowl cuts, how to slice all the bowls so that you don't have to do the sanding, you can have finish it just like this from the tool. I can do that another night.
That sounds
Pretty
great.
impressive.
If anybody
Very
has any
impressive.
questions for Mark, now's the time to ask, but let's not stomp over each other as we're asking questions. So floor is open.
What angle do you have on your bow? I mean, on your spindle gouge?
What?
What
See
angle?
a bevel.
Bevel
What's the
angle?
bevel on your spindle gouge?
Okay, if you let me get something black here. Okay, here's something black. Now I have a regular parabolic curve on the front. And on the back, it's convex. It's not concave. That way, I can use all parts of the tool and have the exact same bevel. So I only have about 128th of an inch of metal that ever touches the wood at any one time. So I have ultimate control over the wood. I don't have any resistance. And all you do, if you want to do that, is just, let's go to the grinder. Okay, if you use the very grind, you can put it in and make the curve on the front, because this makes a parabolic curve. Then all you have to do is see this. I start back there and I roll it. And as I bring the handle this way, I slowly make a convex. That's simple. And then you just join the back with the front and make a little curve. Or if you've already made the curve with the very grind, you can do that. But that's all you do. Just bring it forward and make it convex. That way, every little place is always the same bevel rubbing the wood.